darkness won't back down. United Zoid army, they circle around. We are the storm, the lightning in the night. The renegade Zoid stars, hearts burning bright. Beyond the stars where the shadows lie, we stand on broken wings up to the sky. Feel the power surge in metal veins. Together we conquer, breaking all chains. Whoa, 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 whoa. Roll renegades, engines of might. Shatter the darkness with beams of light. Planet Zoidstar, rise, fight for what's right. Against cross shadow we ignite. Roll renegades, engines of might. Shatter the darkness with beams of light. Planet Zoidstar, rise, fight for what's right. Against cross shadow we ignite. We ignite. All the bits of darkness won't back down. Like vengeance of light. For the right, we ignite. Roll renegades, engines of might. Shatter the darkness with beams of light. Planet Zoidstar, rise, fight for what's right. Against dark shadow we ignite. Roll renegades, engines of might. Shatter the darkness with beams of light. Planet Zoidstar, rise, fight for what's right. Against dark shadow we ignite. We ignite. Renegades, engines of might. Shatter the darkness with beams of light. Planet Zoidstar, rise, fight for what's right. Against dark shadow we ignite. Renegades, Zoidstar, hearts burning bright. Beyond the stars where the shadows lie, we stand on broken wings up to the sky. Feel the power surge in metal veins. Together we conquer, breaking all chains. Still joy and bright thunder in the land of turn and wonder. Electric dreams of the battle days, monster machines won't stand days. Blue Zoids rage against the storm. Flashing lights, red Zoids are born. Dimetrodons and Zoids fight with rage. Terrorzoids fly through the shattered age. Zoids arise, the metal beasts awake and leave destruction in their way. Zoids arise, you've got to fight. Zoidarians don't control your mind. Under Zoidstar skies, cars galactic fate. Fuse grind with Silverman's hate. Priscilla crushes the redwood Izzo hands. When orange on blues over battered sands. Sculpted Zoids fought with oil and steel. Synthetic blood, hell runners cannot feel. Monster super Zoids in the night. Echoes scream, the Star Zoids fight. Rise from metal serpent so cold. Stories of the iron tank so bold. Glorious copper Zoids fly through the night. Blue and red Zoids reflect a purple light. Red mutants rise from the island lands. Blue guardians unite in metal bands. Lights and fury beneath Zoidstar skies. Zoids zero leads with burning rage. Red horde lost signals the new age. Cortex to the battle floor. Great Gorgons, lasers, rip and roar. Blue guardians fight for the glory. Red mutants rage is the story. Zoids are scared inside the final fate. On planet Zoidstar, no time to wait. Hearted echoes remember scrap. Great Gorgon treads metal path. Clark seeks to ignite red and blue. Zoids battle on in the neon hue. Giant CRKs, laser beams ignite the night. Mammoth solvent, prepare to fight. Noble blues must break the red's evil might. Core defends with courage steel, so Godzilla leaves no chance to kneel. Red horn fury of the heart be real. Monster machines crash under the darkest sky. Blue guardians rise while red mutants defy. Endless war, rage of crack and roar machines. Rust and sparks and dreams and the broken screams. Through the waste, blue guardian higher. Fight for dominion and mutant fire. Engines, screens, lines and letters, Zoids burning bright. Spine backs and bronze of Zoids clashing in endless nights. Mighty Zoids fights in ground shaking fierce. Blue guardians justice, red mutants pierce. Battle of Zoids.